let's read the screen better. I'm not going to be able to see chat. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me. But as you can hear and probably see, it's raining outside. So I wanted to come out. I'm like literally waking up. And I wanted to get more sleep. But that did not happen. So something very interesting is happening in the world. In my world, I don't know if it's happening, the world over. Um, 1 second. There we go. I don't know if it's happening all over, but it feels like one of those purifying rains. It feels like a spiritual rain. Feels like I probably should have. There we go. Hey, Kathy. Rob has great news. Wait, wait. Did he say he was moving in this weekend or next week? I can't remember. I think I talked to Rob Roberts yesterday. And I got my most waterproof deck because it's laminated. Also, this is the deck that I used to use when I'd go outside. And because of that, I'm missing like a few cards. This is like really close. Hey, Eve. Good morning. How are you? Did I ask you how you're doing, Kathy? I kind of want to move this back a little. So I got some space. There's a wind chime. Let's cleanse the energy. From this morning? What? You're good? I'm glad to hear it. Oh, I guess when you wake up earlier. Just working on the next series. Excuse me. On the next series thumbnails. I should get into. Hey, I gotta keep with tradition. How do I do that? There we go. Hey, Sandra. How are you doing? Excuse me. I just finished watching it too. Well, I just finished watching it, and then I heard it start to like rumble and thunder, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get outside." Just to see what's up. Oh gosh. The Ace of Swords in the Sun. With the Three of Wands at the bottom of the deck. It's funny because in Eve's Pisces reading, she just talked about Neptune. Oh, boom. I just knocked it over. 1 second. She just talked about, ooh, love that angle. Can I? Oh, no. Oh, wait, I have this. I have the box. There we go. She talked about Neptune rising from the water in her Pisces reading. Excuse me. And it's funny because it seems like these posts are rising from the water, but behind the Three of Wands is the Five of Wands. And what's interesting about this is like it feels like the Five of Wands is in the water. Like this is something happening in the water, but above the surface, it feels like it's rising in order to get us closer to the sun. And I guess that is the thing about the Ace of Swords, right? The Ace of Swords is almost the thing that takes something from unconscious or subconscious to conscious, where it takes it from unknowable and murky to visible, you know? Is this Goddess Aya? Low key. Where's Remy? Is that like low key kind of sort of Goddess Aya energy? Excuse me. Yeah. I need to do a structured reading sometime instead of all these. Ah, no! Instead of all these general readings. What's also interesting about this is it feels like, I mean, it's the Ace of Swords. Like it feels like there's an energy of like simplification here, but it feels like there are also things that we're gonna have to learn to accept. Or maybe we're in the position of accepting some things right now because of the gaps in between the wands. Like these, if this is a bridge, or if these are posts leading us to the sun, if this is our path, then we're gonna have to take some leaps along the way. And in the Five of Wands, they're a lot closer, but they run. It feels like this, to a scrambled brain, this would make sense. It feels like you might have to unscramble it. But it feels like because of that, it brings in an energy of trust. Or it brings in an energy of not needing to know everything. Because if we do, I don't know if we would necessarily make it past these gaps. And it's almost like the story is too convoluted, so there are some details that don't even like necessarily matter. They're not necessarily pertinent. It's like, why didn't you tell me this? And it's like, oh, well, I didn't think that was pertinent information. This tree? So this tree used to be my favorite tree over here that you can't see. This tree became my favorite tree basically when the lockdowns happened. And I would just come out here and sit on the porch. I was like, this tree is gorgeous. But I've always just gravitated towards the other tree. Let's just take a minute to appreciate nature, you know? Oh my gosh, it's almost like you're here with me. Ooh, that's a deep rumble. That's a deep. Rubber. Excuse me. You're on your porch too? A porch party. Yeah, that's why I need Virgos in my life. That's cute. Let's see what else is in here. Let's see what else is in here. I had a dream a while ago that I was with my youngest brother, and I can't remember if he was volunteering the information or if, um, hey, you're outside too, let's go. Sandra's like, I'm waking up. And he was like talking to people about, I don't think it was DNA, but it might have been. From my recollection of the dream, he was talking to people about like atoms and molecules and how different atoms come together to form molecules to make like different things. And he was kind of sort of like looking at me like, is that right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wow. Like, I didn't expect for you to be up here giving somebody a science lesson, but yeah, that's right. And I don't remember the context of the dream. But yesterday, my youngest brother came home for a little bit, and I overheard him talking to my parents about basically spirituality versus religion, and how we all have the capacity to speak to the divine ourselves, and how before some organized religions, it would have been that more intimate one-on-one connection with God, basically. And there were like other parts of the conversation that I didn't fully hear, but I'm just like, I'm in my room like, what? And then my mom is like, yeah, because like God will speak directly to you. And she said that it actually came in her spirit that day to talk about how, like, if God speaks to you and tells you something, maybe that's not for everybody else. Maybe it's just for you. But with like guru, pastor, preacher, spiritual leader culture, for the one who has a platform, for the one who has a congregation, it's like, well, how would they separate what the divine is telling them for them specifically versus what the divine is telling them for their congregation? And it kind of sort of falls into what I was talking about, what the time before last I was live, maybe. And it's like, I don't know. I was just like, what? That's crazy. I was shocked. I was shook. I was very shook. A lot of things are happening in my life to make me a little shook right now. That's one of them. Oh, snap. Bernie, how are you doing? I am doing well. Excuse me, I hope the same for you. And then I talked to my friend yesterday. I talked to the buddy I just came back from visiting. Whenever I need to be like realistic or grounded or whatever, I go to him, and I dislike very much of the conversation that we have, but at the same time, I realize that, it's whatever. It's good to have people in my life that aren't also Pisces delusional. But it's frustrating talking to people who aren't like sometimes it can be frustrating talking to people who are overly like, what's realistic, what looks more feasible, what looks more whatever, blah 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 blah. So it's a fine line that I walk with him sometimes, and we both know that about each other. Um, so, but so I basically settled on, like, I'm at the point in my life, and I've talked about it, where I want to do something I'm passionate about. I don't want to just do the next thing offered, especially if it's not something I'm passionate about. But he was like, he was like, well, do you hate where you are, or are you sort of indifferent to it? And I was like, I'm more indifferent to it than I hate it. I don't hate it. I'm just like, I want something that lights me up. Like that page one that Rob pulled from me yesterday, right? And he was like, okay, well, so I'd rather you be at a place or in a position that you're like impassionate about and able to take care of yourself, able to provide for yourself, able to do things that you want to do, able to afford certain luxuries and stuff like that. Like he was like, you just came to visit me and you were able to do that because of the job. And I'd rather you continue to work at something that you're not super passionate about than to just quit and wait for this super amazing thing that might take you some time to find. And in the meantime, it's like you're not making money, so you can't take care of yourself, you can't provide for yourself, and then you start to feel some type of way. And I was like, ooh, that's true. But see, in my mind, I'm like, I don't even necessarily, like, I don't even consider that like, I don't think, like, oh, like, I won't be able to get another job if I leave the one that I have, or, because I'm like, I'm like, well, I'm manifesting opportunity. You know what I mean? I'm not even like, failure isn't even in consideration for me. Also, the amount of time it takes isn't a consideration for me. Also, I guess in that breath, my responsibilities aren't a consideration. Because it's not like responsibilities stop. I still have responsibilities. Ooh, what? Look at this cut. The sun, the world, and the Six of Pentacles. Love that. Love this energy. Is this not like, it's similar to that when you are the sun in your life, it brings life to the void? This deck and this rain outside today, I don't know. The rain does feel like it's purifying in some kind of way. I don't know in what way, shape, or form, but that's what it felt like. Catalyst for passion instead of it being the passion. Ooh. But again, like, that's why I like talking to him. My work buddy, no, this is my only frenemy. I guess. He's not really a frenemy anymore. I feel like we've mostly officially crossed into full best friend territory. And it took time. There were also things like, because he's not the type of person to really share what he's going through. And with us not being together and us not seeing each other super frequently and us not talking very often, I think I forget sometimes that he also goes through things, if that makes sense. Because, like, I know he does, but he's not really open about it. He doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't share it. And if we talked more, I feel like I would be able to pick up on it. But also, I've just been so consumed in my own life, especially my professional life lately, that I feel like I don't sort of like reach out. I haven't been reaching out as much lately. You know what I mean? I'm still finding the balance, because before I wasn't working and now I am, and oof. But yeah, I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't hate where I am. I actually don't mind it. It's just that like I want to do something more exciting, and there's also the thing about like another thing that he is coaching me through right now is that like just because I take a position doesn't mean I have to stay there. And right, like that was my thing about the job I'm at now. Because early in the month of February, that's when I started to notice like it's not like I like my job, but I don't love it. You know, I like the people, the work isn't too bad. I like that I'm able to be provided for and provide for. Um, but it's just not something I'm passionate about. And then I was like, well, I wouldn't want to leave because I wouldn't want to leave the people in the bind, in a bind. My best friend, he's a Libra. So, he's a Libra. I'm pretty sure he's a Libra sun and moon. So, oof. Just kidding on the oof. Um, my little brother's a Taurus, though. He's a Taurus sun. I think he's a Leo moon. He's got Leo in his chart. No, his moon isn't in Leo. But he's a Taurus sun. And his Taurus sun is the same degree as my Taurus rising. So his sun is my rising, and my grandmother's sun is my moon. Like the degrees worked out that way. And then I'm pretty sure either my mom or my grandma has Venus in the same degree that my Venus is in. Um, and now that I think about it, I almost wonder if my aunt or my grandpa has a Pisces sun where my Mercury is. I don't know. In my family, it just so happened that, like, to the degree, some of my placements, like I said, like my little brother's son, my grandma's son, and then somebody's Venus. I don't know. But yeah, that's my Libra best friend. So um excuse me. What was I talking about? Yeah, because I was like, I don't want to leave anybody in a bind because at the time, we were kind of short staffed. And it's like, I don't like where I am, but I don't want to leave. And for me, that's a thing. Call me out. Sometimes, especially if I care about the people that I'm working with, or if I care about the people, I can keep myself stuck in situations past my time in that situation. Or I can compromise what I want for others. And there was a point in time where that was like key, where that was focal. It's like, well, what do you want for you? And not like, what do you want because it'll put you in this position for that person or somebody else. And so anyway, at the top of the month, I was like I don't feel passionate about where I am and I want to do something else, but I don't want to leave because of the people. And then a few weeks later, it was that announcement like, hey, so the plant's going to be closed by the end of the year. And I was like, oh, cute. So like I can go look for the work that I want and I don't have to feel bad about leaving the people because they're going to be leaving too. Um, but in talking to him, he's like, oh, there's a bird on the fence. It's not quite a robin. What are you? Oh, it is a robin. Maybe I'm just used to the more plump robins. I don't know. Are you a fairly young bird? What are you doing? It's like hopping along the fence. It'll hop along the fence, shake its tail. um, so my thing is like, I don't want to transfer because like if I transfer, it's more of a sure thing. If I transfer, it's more of a sure thing, but I don't want to keep working in somewhere I'm not passionate about. And he was like, well, you could transfer and look for another job. Like, you can do the thing that will continue to give you stability while you wait for something else, or while you wait for the thing. Like, well, it's like this, oh, it's the Three of Wands. Like, there are the stuff in between. He was like, you can do something that'll give you stability in between the next post, the next thing, the next step forward. And I was like, yeah, but like if I took a job and I was only there for X amount of time, I'd feel bad if I left. And he was like, you don't have to feel bad. He's like, it's a company. And so that's something that I guess I'm working on again. Or I guess it's something that I'm working on in a different sector of life. Um, to the UK, I wish. The closest I'd be able to get is maybe Canada. Yeah, my not Russell Libra best friend. My Libra best friend, formerly my only frenemy. My former only frenemy best friend. I guess we were best friends, but um, I don't know. He was weird because he would say stuff like, "Oh well, if I'm nice to you all the time, you might get used to it." And I was like, "You're my friend. Should I not be used to you being nice to me? Like, you don't have to do this annoying thing where for like every nice thing you say, you got to do something like dumb or stupid. Like, we can just be friends, right? You know, you can just be nice. You don't have to keep playing both sides of the scales, Libra. We've officially crossed the threshold into a different relationship category." Hello? But we helped each other in a lot of ways. I'm gonna go grab a stick. I'll be right back. I looked over and my eyes gravitated towards this. So is it one of these where, hold up, wait, where we're on a certain path, right? We're on a path, and then we hit this fork in the road, and we make a choice to go this way or this way? Or is it one of these where things are like coming together again and moving forward, but what is this? This would be the shortcut, question mark, where you branch off. And then there's this, on the shortcut, it's like there are these non-option pathways, because whatever choice, decision, information it's for us to process here, we actually get an opportunity to process it earlier or to realize something. That's the energy of the shortcut. I wish I could put this somewhere where you could see it. Ooh. Maybe I'll just put it here. Can you see me through the trees? There we go. So yeah, that's like, I feel like I'm in so many different spots and areas in life, and I'm noticing so many different things. Or an oops off path. There could be an oops off path. That is very correct. Ah! Stop! Stop! The stick is kind of in the way now. Okay. Now you get to see thumb. See, but I think another thing is, it looks like a fish in the air from that view. See you, Bernie. It was nice to see you too. I hope you get where you're going and you don't get wet. Shout out to the airfish. This is, ooh, this is a little bit of a web up there. That's Pisces and Gemini energy. Pisces and Virgo is what you were talking about. The chime part looks like a fin. Oh, yeah, it does. I see what you're saying now. What is going on with this energy, though? See, but maybe that's the thing about the shortcut again. I don't know, because look, in this sun card, we have this mountain and we have this mountain. But the lady is sitting in between them. Is this literally Flusa? That's literally the circle. She's literally the line. This is Flusa. But it's like, it's not a path that leads to this mountain. It's not like this. Let's see if I can do it. I gotta put this. I don't think I'll be able to do it. It's not like this. This path leads to this mountain. That path leads to the other mountain. So it's like either way we hit mountainous energy. But it's like there's this valley. See? If I can position it right. You see that? Or maybe I should do it this way. But it's easier for you to see this way. There's this valley in between where the sun is. And so it's not going to be, or it doesn't have to be, whatever we fear it being. But, and I was watching Reem's, one of Reem's videos, I think it was the live, one of the Rare Gazelle's latest videos, and she was talking about something that felt very much like the shortcut. And in the shortcut, because when the shortcut first came out, it was the energy of like if life were like a game that's open world, not everything in the game is programmed. So even though you can go anywhere and everywhere, in theory, anything that you see you can venture to, there's going to be limitations on the game where, because it's made by people, so it, you know, the divine isn't necessarily people, so it's much more capable. But it's like there are certain areas that aren't programmed, so you can't go that way. You can't go that far, and if you do, it breaks the game. But the thing about the shortcut was, it's like, instead of it being pre-rendered, pre-programmed, already decided, we go off path, off the beaten path. We go off the beaten path, and everything loads in real time. But since it loads in real time, it's like our response time has to be a lot quicker. It's not necessarily going to be things that, you know, I got this download a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, and now I'm encountering a situation and it's playing out, because it's much more real time than that. It's like, it's almost like when we go further than we were originally projected to go. Like, that's what makes it the shortcut. But if we take the shortcut, it's like we have to get accustomed to living life as it's happening, right? So maybe that's another thing too that, you know, I'm working through, because I'm like, wait. But the sun lies in between these mountains. Neither mountain takes you to the, well, okay, either mountain can take you to the sun, but the valley will also take you to the sun, and the valley is, the journey itself would be a lot smoother. And it feels like that's what she's offering. And I think that's also why going to the allegory of the stick, That's why the shortcut is the smallest path. Because it's only in like, where did my stick go? How I said like these are like non-options. You have this crossroad here, but after this one, like it doesn't really go anywhere. Besides like these two that run all the way down here. Because it's again, it's like it's real time, it's shortened, everything is fast, everything is quick. You gotta move, you gotta trust. And then after this, it's like we reach a flow state by this point, if that makes sense. And so when it's almost like when there's pure flow state, there is no path, right? At that point, you are the pioneer and you are laying the foundation as you go. And for those that energetically come behind you, it'll be a little bit easier for them because there are things that you already do to anchor that pathway into the 3D, I guess. Or we could say that you, as you're on that path, have a certain set of uploads that you put for someone else to download as they go on that path to make it a little easier for them, to help them connect, to bridge the gap between like what is real lived experience in this and what is the spiritual other side of the veil sort of perspective of how everything plays out. You know what I mean? Because how everything plays out on the other side of the veil theoretically is when you're dealing with humans, it can be very different than what actually happens. If that makes sense. If it don't resonate, don't take it. Steph, what's up? A triple jump and a single step. Oof, don't scare me. Don't scare me, Kathy. I'm just playing. Wait, when was it? It was like, it's starting to calm down now. I guess the storm clouds have moved on. The rain is over. The grass has been nourished. The trees are happy. Seven of Wands with the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So the Seven of Wands came out with the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I think these two together, it's interesting because this is not the Queen of Wands. This is not the Queen of Swords I've been talking about lately. Because this is like the shadowy. This is the Queen of Swords whose sword cuts in the direction of the past. Because of everything she's already been through, because of everything that she's already experienced, because of what she knows about the world, she goes out into the world a certain way. But this is like healed Queen of Swords energy, who still holds her sword, but she allows for the situation to be what it is. She allows the experience itself to inform her about what the experience is going to be. So here's the super defensive energy, already combative, already not really. It's like already going in with a certain perspective and perception. And then this is the one that still holds that perceptive and perspective and perception, because we're human. We don't just necessarily change overnight, you know? But she allows for the world. She allows for the situation. She allows for the energy, for the space to tell her what it is, without going in thinking that she already knows. Right? And because of that, she gets the Daddy of Pentacles. The Zaddy. I'm just playing. You can have a community page. Okay, everybody go subscribe to Eve Everlong Mystic if you haven't already. Get her a community page. The Zaddy of Pentacles, yes. I'm just playing. But that's what's behind her. Now, since I'm reading it backwards, it feels like this is because she allows the world to show her, because she allows the energy to show her, because she allows the situation to speak for itself. It's almost like it puts on its best and it puts on its finest. And these are the experiences that she now has. And again, it reminds me of, it was the Queen of Swords with the King of Wands, I think, where the Queen of Swords was in reverse and the King of Wands was upright. So the King of Wands was like willing to listen, was ready to listen, was eager and enthusiastic to see what the, ooh, call me out, Queen of Swords had to say. But the Queen of Swords is like, blah, 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 blah. And the King of Wands is like, but I'm listening, but I'm right here. And she's like, you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me. But he's like, I am listening. What are you talking about? Like maybe the other people didn't listen, and because they didn't listen, you don't think I'm listening, or you wouldn't expect me to listen, but I'm listening. But when they were both upright, the King of Wands and the Queen of Swords were like facing each other. They were having that conversation. And then it's like, well, if the Queen of Swords is upright, then the King of Wands was in reverse, where the King of Wands wouldn't listen or would think he knows better or whatever. But we're coming into a different time, a different space, a different energy, partially because of the. Oh, wait, hold up, wait. Archetype deck said, you're using me next. um, but it's like now they can both be upright. And it's because of everything. It's because of the conversations we've been having. Especially the ones that, you know, people would prefer to not have because it makes folks uncomfortable or whatever. But it's like, if we don't talk about it, how are we going to move past it? Just like therapy in a way, right? If you don't go to therapy and if you don't talk about it, how do you expect to do anything but live trauma responses? How do you expect to do anything but be triggered and respond from a space of triggering and to continue to keep the trauma alive? It's not great, but it's worth it. So this is the whole new world. This is the world putting on its best. This is her like, okay, like I'm glad I, listened and waited and watched instead of being like this, cuz I don't know if I mean there are some energies that like this. If we're talking about people, there are some people that like this, but energetically if we're talking about, I don't know. I only know what I know. I only see what I see. But under that, we have this 3 of Wands again. So I think it's this openness that allows the world to come in and bridge these in-between spaces so that we have something to walk on. But it feels like it's going to be unconventional or not what we necessarily expected or out of the ordinary, which is interesting because I wouldn't call the Queen of Swords or the King of Pentacles unconventional necessarily. By themselves, I wouldn't, at least. And under that, the Knight of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Sun. Again, Knight of Wands, King of Wands, the Sun, and the Queen of Wands. The Wands court and the daughter, the page is the sun, I guess. Okay. The entire Wands family. See, but that's what this is. It's the 3 of Wands, right? And so as we're open to it, as we allow it with the Queen of Swords, rather than being the 7 of Wands opposed to it or needing everything to sort of fall in place. And because we need everything to fall in place, whenever we encounter something we don't know, we can be overly quick to substitute in something that, like, something from the past to bridge the gaps for ourselves rather than just letting there be a gap and letting the gap fill itself. What card is that? The falling of mountains, the falling of mountains and filling of valleys. The filling of valleys and falling of mountains. But as we're doing that, it's like there's this quick progression from the Knight of Wands to the King of Wands. And the King of Wands, like his wand has that light. His wand is the only one that might have that, actually. And then we encounter the sun. His light takes him to the sun. I think the King of Wands is going to be my... No, the King of Wands is already pre-strength, maybe? No, I don't know. He might be the minor sun energy now. I don't know. But it's like when we live it, that's... It's just like we learn to effortlessly find it or be in it. Oh, the storm's coming back. And then we have the Queen of Wands under that, after that. So what's interesting is it's almost like this Seven of Wands is a space. This is the capital I versus the EYE energy. But it's like this Seven of Wands, because of her need to be in control, because of her need to know, there are so many things that she doesn't allow herself the experience of. And because she doesn't allow herself the experience, she doesn't allow herself any opportunity for growth, really. It's like if the Queen of Swords is in a space of not allowing, not accepting, not going, not flowing. If the Queen of Swords is not okay with not knowing, this is where she stops. In the Suit of Wands, she can keep being the Queen of Swords, but when it comes to the Suit of Wands, and as we work through every suit, we get closer and closer to being the Emperor and the Empress. And then when we integrate our masculine and feminine, maybe we end up magician or something, I don't know. But after that, like if she can allow this, if she can allow the energy of like the natural world and the lived experience, the energy of experience itself, it'll take her in a very different direction. And she gets this king and queen energy quickly. Like it doesn't take that long. But, you know, it is immediately after the three. And maybe that's why. Because maybe this process itself is the Knight of Wands. And so by the time we take a few steps, by the time we get used to navigating life and navigating energy in this way, we are this king, headed for the sun with the queen. We're both. I'm going to say the sun is bringing us both the king and the queen. But then, there are no cups here. We have a Queen of Swords, a King of Pentacles, and the King and Queen of Wands. So I don't know where that would take us in terms of the cups. I am unfamiliar. There's a tree. Look how, like, thin it is. But then it's so, like, you know what I mean? I'll see if I can show you the other tree. There's the other tree. See, it has, like, these three. That used to be my favorite tree. Now this one is my favorite tree, but it's only got the one. Oh, get through the whole reading and it didn't record. Oh my gosh. One time you hit stop instead of unpause. I think I did that. Well, there was like one time when I was live. No, when I did that, no, there was a reading I did. I think I recorded it in OBS and I didn't have audio. Oof. So that's interesting. I guess I'll get a final card. I'm pretty much done. Sounds like the world is full of life today. I don't know if it's necessarily been quiet lately, but Two of Pentacles. Where? I have Two of Swords. Seven of Pentacles. There are like literally no cups. We're going to keep going until we find a cup. What's the first cup? Where are the cups? The Four of Cups is the first cup. This is how many cards it took me to find a cup. But this Four of Cups... Where'd she go? Here you are. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, look, behind the Four of Cups is the Seven of Swords. It's like, will she see it, though? Oh, it's the Eight of Swords, not the Seven. See, because it feels like this is, it's to find, to perceive, but not act. And there's too much Wands energy around this sun for inaction. It just is. It's a lived sun energy. It's an active sun energy. Apparently. So we'll get a final card. Oh, the Ace of Cups. The Star and the Ace of Cups. Love that. Ooh, reversal. Sure, why not? Uh-oh. You hear the sirens? I saw her. The Four of Swords, Princess of Pentacles in reverse, and the Five of Wands. I'll take this as a message for me, but maybe for you as well. And it's just like action is necessary, action is needed, movement and momentum. It's like, because the Four of Swords is being able to like meditate, to ground, to center, to reach out etherically, energetically, to be able to channel a certain energy, a certain message. But with the Princess of Pentacles in reverse, it doesn't necessarily do anything to anchor that energy into the experience. It's like this is getting the seeds, and we keep getting the seeds. But we need to make sure we're also planting them, because if we don't plant the seed and take care of it and nurture it, it won't grow. And so it's almost like maybe how sometimes we can hold on to certain seeds for so long that when it comes the season of harvest, when the season of harvest comes, we expect things that we might not necessarily get, but then it's a question of like, okay, well, did you plant the seed? Did you take care of the seed? Or did you just get the seed and think that everything would sort of just happen? Because we go back to this Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands being the underwater subterranean energy, it's like in the void there are all these potentials, all of these things buzzing about and stirring, but we never planted the seed to get it to shoot up above the water to become the Three of Wands that takes us to the sun. So it's just to be mindful of that, I guess. As something comes up. And look, like, the sun is rising in the direction that she's facing. You can tell because it's lighter over here and darker over there, right? That's interesting. And the Princess of Wands is behind that Five of Wands with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. So there's the Princess of Wands. We saw the rest of the family. But if I just saw these two together, and yeah, it's almost like sensory overload. Like there are so many things that the Princess of Wands can do. And it's like she's got these different ideas and passions and creative projects and things that she wants to do all coming in at one time. But it's almost like she doesn't necessarily give any single one of them the time that they need to actually gestate with the Nine of Pentacles. And so it's almost like these things remain unborn. It's like she doesn't finish any one thing because before she makes enough progress, she's already on to the next. And so maybe I think this is also where we can encounter a certain element of thinking. Because maybe it's like we might not think that what we need to do can be exciting. Like we may not think that there's an overlap between like Pentacles earth energy and Wands fire energy, because Wands is so explosive and creative and earth is so like slow and still. But that's literally earth. That's like literally a forest, right? You go out into a forest or you go into a field of flowers. It's earth, but then when everything blooms, when everything comes to life, that's the wand. And it's this partially like to get things to bloom, first they must be planted, but also it's this like um, we can enjoy the process in all of its seasons. We can enjoy the planting, we can enjoy the nurturing, we can enjoy the time that it takes for things to grow. We can enjoy it from plant to harvest. Okay. So that's what I got. Thank you all for being here. This was something. They never answered you? What? There's that no choice is a choice thing, yeah. That came out in the message that in the archetypes deck that you got to upload? Oh, you were guessing. Oh, okay. No problem. And when you asked why you were canceling, you told them, yeah. And I think like back in the, I think there was a time where they didn't lock certain features, but I guess with like more and more people getting on the platform, I don't know if they were having bandwidth issues, or I don't even know if YouTube would have bandwidth issues. But it's like, I guess if everybody could go live, or if everybody had access to all the features, there's a certain demand it would come with, especially with more and more and more and more and more people getting on YouTube, because with the path of the influencer becoming a thing now. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe I'm just too good at finding excuses and getting less good at believing them. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Ooh, 10 pennies. And until the next time, I hope that when the divine speaks to you, you listen. 10 Pentacles, the Eight of Cups, and the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups is minor high priestess. She's pre-high priestess. Minor high priestess might be the Two of Swords. See, it's almost like, I feel like the divine would be like, I'm going to say whispering, but it doesn't feel like whispering, like the way out. And from my vantage and perspective, it feels so subtle. And so I'd say it's definitely a time to trust your intuition. It's definitely a time to trust your discernment. And it feels like it's a time to be open to being led. And again, it's like it's not that we can't have questions, it's not that we can't be skeptical, but it's almost like you can be skeptical of something and still like participate, especially if that's what your intuition is telling you to do, right? If your intuition is telling you to do it, because then it's like as you go along, you find out what happens. And so in that way, it's very much the realm of the high priestess. Because it's like it's not until we do something that we fully know what will happen. And even if you have an ability to have some kind of premonition about what will happen, even if you can get foresight about it, it's like that is different than living the experience. And there may be things that happen that you didn't necessarily foresee, potentially. Because I don't know if the high priestess necessarily reveals everything all the time. Ooh, look at this. The way out of the Five of Wands. But it's interesting though, because it's like she's sitting, it's like she's out of it. Or she's sitting at the brink, at the precipice of it. And so it reads a little bit like the divine pulls us out of something. It's like a get out of jail free card. The divine hands us a get out of jail free card, but then we sit at the choice point of like, if we get locked up again, do we head back into the prison or do we get up and sort of like walk away? But would we even know that we're out of it? I feel like we wouldn't necessarily. But that's where like the intuitive and that's where the subtle and that's where everything like that comes into play. Because that's all water and fire. It's water, fire, and what can't or what hasn't yet been manifest. I like that. It's water and fire and what hasn't yet changed in the earth. But this change, it feels like it happens in the water and the fire first. And air is our ability to make sense of the dynamic between water and fire. And it isn't necessarily always accurate, which is why we need to be mindful that when we don't know something, we aren't overly quick to rely on past or previous information. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I got. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Bye. Thank you, Eve and Steph and Kathy and Sandra for being here, and anybody else. Bernie, Holly, what's up? I'm going inside now.